Merciless Ray Mercer, Olympic gold medalist and top heavyweight championship contender, last seen here on TVKO, scoring a devastating knockout of Tommy Morrison.
In trouble. And Morrison goes down for the first time in his career.
Tonight, undefeated Ray Mercer tries to unleash the power that will take him to the top. Standing in his way is a legend. Larry Holmes, at the age of 42, is trying to recapture the pride of being heavyweight champion, a crown he wore for 7.5 years. Merciless Ray Mercer.
Larry, don't do it. I'm a young lion waiting to see you lying on your back.
Takes on Larry Holmes.
They say I'm old and I'm gray, and I had my day, but they haven't seen nothing yet. I'm the Eastern Assassin, and I'm back.
It's power versus pride.
All right,
James Cody wins the title. Unbelievable. This may be the most brutal even round you've ever seen. Get ready to rumble.
a big rally by Ali.
Mike Tyson has been knocked out. He's got that fourth belt. Holyfield landing inside.
You're looking live at the Atlantic City Convention Center, where fight fans have gathered for a full night of boxing that leads to one of the most intriguing matchups in recent memory. It's power versus pride. Merciless Ray Mercer against Larry Holmes. The winner here continues his drive towards the heavyweight championship. The loser may just have to pack it in. That's our main event, but first, we've got junior welterweight action when undefeated and U.S. Olympian Todd Foster battles former world champion Jimmy Paul. Then we move to the light heavyweights when Doug the Cobra DeWitt takes on fellow New Yorker Tyrone Frazier. Tonight's triple header is being brought to you by Budweiser, the undisputed king of beers. It is a night for the young and the old of the heavyweights. The former champion who once dominated the division going against an undefeated contender nicknamed Merciless. We expect a big crowd, boxing fans eager to see if Larry Holmes can beat Father Time and Ray Mercer. Hello again, everyone. I'm Cambrell Marshall. Welcome to TVKO's Fight of the Month, and I, like you, am quite eager to see what, if anything, Larry Holmes still has as a heavyweight. Can he join George Foreman in the over 40 set as a legitimate heavyweight contender? Well, Larry wants to know the answer to that question as well tonight, and we will find it out a little bit later this evening. We will also be going live to Indianapolis, where the rape trial of Mike Tyson continues. He took the stand today. We'll be joining some reporters there who are covering the trial for an update on the progress of it. We'll also be talking live to Iran Barkley and Thomas Hearns. They are preparing for their March 20th showdown here on TVKO from Las Vegas. We'll be talking to them live between the fights. But first, we have junior welterweight action. Olympian Todd Foster steps into the ring hoping to run his undefeated record to 23-0. He'll have to go through former IBF champion Jimmy Paul, who, like Larry Holmes, quit boxing for a while, almost 4 years, in fact, before getting back into action this past August. He is 4-0 on his comeback. He is ready to get into action. Let's go down to ringside and my colleague, WNBC New York sportscaster Lynn Berman. Lynn?
Thank you, Cambrell. It is a night of comebacks here on TVKO. That is the common thread throughout all three fights. Of course, the flip side to that is if a comebacking boxer should lose, his career is then over. That could be the case with Larry Holmes later this evening. I'm joined, as always, by the Los Angeles-based trainer, Joe Goosen. And Joe, in our first fight tonight, the junior welterweights, Jimmy Paul, out of boxing for nearly 4 full years, now making his comeback. Do you think he's regained anything close to his championship caliber form?
Well, you got to believe so. Emmanuel Stewart, who doesn't really mess around with anybody but world-class fighters, coaxed Jimmy Paul out of retirement and truly believes that he's got a great shot at upsetting Todd Foster tonight and going on to become world champion again.
Well, Todd Foster, undefeated, but virtually all of his wins in his home state of Montana. This is the first time he has fought in a boxing capital, his first time in Atlantic City. It's really a coming out party for Foster tonight, Joe.
It certainly is, and I think the fans are going to get a great treat because Todd Foster is really a classic stand-up fighter, puts combinations together well. He's a tremendous fighter, and Jimmy Paul's going to have his hands full.
All right, let's start, as always, with our Goosen's Corner feature, an inside look at the boxers, and let's begin with the former lightweight champ, Jimmy Paul.
That's right, and Jimmy Paul, of course, fighting at close to the 140 limit here. But he's got a tremendous reach. He's got 4.5 inches in reach on Todd Foster, and he's really got to put that to use like he did when he was lightweight champ. He's got a counter punch as Todd Foster comes at him, and he's got to really get off that good right hand that he has. But lastly, he's got to pace himself because really Jimmy Paul has not been in a tough fight since his comeback, and this will be one. And he really should conserve his energy and try to take this down the long haul.
Jimmy Paul lost his IBF lightweight championship to Greg Haugen in 1986 in a 15-round decision. One of his 4 losses. He's 30-4. He has the knockout power. 22 knockouts in Jimmy Paul's career. And now for Goosen's Corner, let's take a look at Todd Foster.
Todd Foster, of course, made it to the quarterfinals in the '88 Olympics, and a tremendous fighter, actually more suited for the pros than he was for the amateurs, but he's got to get off to a quick start. He's 24 years old. He's a lot younger and probably quicker than Jimmy Paul. He's got to put that to use, put on smart, intelligent pressure on Jimmy Paul. Don't rush anything, but when he does throw those punches, be accurate and use combinations.
And a look at Todd Foster. He says his dad tells us this is the first pay-per-view sports event in the history of Montana. He comes in 22-0. 19 knockouts. A special hello to the people watching the Skyline Bar in Great Falls, Montana. They're all gathered there to watch their home state hero, Todd Foster, to see if he can keep his record undefeated. And we'll take a look at the tail of the tape. A difference in age, of course, significant. Jimmy Paul, 8 years older, an inch taller, similar weight, and Paul does have that 4.5-inch reach advantage. In our rules in the state of New Jersey, 10-point must system, the standing 8 count, and the 3 knockdown rules are in effect. You cannot be saved by the bell in any of the 10 rounds of this fight. The doctor or the referee can stop the fight. And right now, let's go up to ring announcer Michael Buffer for the pre-fight introductions.
Ladies and gentlemen, good evening and welcome to Atlantic City's Convention Hall by way of Donald J. Trump's Trump Plaza Hotel and Casino here on the boardwalk in Atlantic City, New Jersey. Tonight, Bob Arum's Top Rank Incorporated, in association with the undisputed king of beer, Budweiser, presents professional boxing for your entertainment. These bouts tonight are all sanctioned by the New Jersey State Athletic Control Board. The scoring for the bouts will be done on a 10-point must system, and the officials assigned at ringside as judges for this first bout are John Potteray, Tommy Kazmarek, and Phil Newman. And when the bell rings, the man in charge of the action is referee Steve Smoger. And now, ladies and gentlemen, introducing first, fighting out of the blue corner, wearing the Kronk Gold colors with burgundy trim. He weighs an even 139 pounds, fighting out of the Motor City, Detroit, Michigan. His professional record, an excellent one, 30 victories with 22 KOs, only 4 defeats. Ladies and gentlemen, the former lightweight champion of the world, Jimmy, the Ringmaster Paul. And his opponent across the ring, fighting out of the red corner, wearing the black and red trunks, also weighing an even 139 pounds, from Great Falls, Montana. This 1988 U.S. Olympian has a professional record of 22-0. He's undefeated with 19 KOs and ranked number 9 in the world by the International Boxing Federation. Introducing Todd "Kid" Foster.
And I want you to obey my commands at all times, respect the bell at all times, and most importantly, protect yourself at all times. Touch your gloves. Let's go.
Joe, Todd Foster seems to exude that quiet kind of confidence. He told us earlier he thought it would be a battle of the jabs to see who could establish whose earlier.
Well, that's how it's probably going to start, but it's going to erupt into a lot more than jabs by the time we get going to this fight.
And you saw the significant difference in the number of rounds fought. Paul in the gold trunks, 8 years older and a lot more experience. So let's see who can establish it. It's scheduled for 10 rounds. see both of them nearly exclusively jabbing here in the early going, true to form.
Well, that's one of Jimmy Paul's main weapons. Not only that, he's a very patient fighter. He waits for you to make a mistake. In fact, when I talked to him earlier, he said, I said, what do you think of this kid Foster? He said, well, I see a lot of openings with him. And he's the type of guy who's a very tactical fighter, and he'll look for that small opening and take advantage of it.
How much of a detriment do you think the 4 years away from boxing is to Jimmy Paul tonight?
Well, the way Emanuel Stewart puts it, you know, Jimmy Paul had 3 or 4 15-round title fights back to back to back to back, and it said it wore him out. And really, a rest was well needed for Jimmy Paul. So according to Emanuel Stewart, it did him a lot more good than it did harm.
Foster with the style, holding the hands high. He was beaten in the quarterfinals of the Olympics, you may remember, in Seoul, Korea. The decision by an Australian. But as a pro, as you know now, Foster 22-0.
Jimmy Paul's got an accurate jab, and really he's got that long reach, and Todd Foster's having a hard time getting through with his own jab because of Paul's reach right now.
It is a jabathon here, 2 minutes into the first round. Foster seems to be connecting a few more times than Paul.
Well, Paul, like I said, is a more patient fighter, but when he throws something, it usually lands. He's a very accurate puncher. You see what he does so well, Paul, as we saw a few cards ago with James Toney, he rolls that shoulder real well. And, of course, Todd Foster told us today that's not something he likes to do. He likes to block punches by parrying with his own gloves, knocking the punches down out of the air.
Foster respects that in Paul and told us that he admires that skill that he has. He mentioned specifically the rolling of the shoulders.
It's just a matter of how you're trained and what your trainer thinks is best suited for you.
Final seconds of the first round, and a quiet crowd at the Atlantic City Convention Center. Figures to get very noisy much later on with Ray Mercer from New Jersey and former heavyweight champ Larry Holmes. And a fairly even first round comes to a close.
Don't let him take you off your jab, okay? Keep using your jab and go to the body a little bit more. Start backing him up a little bit, okay? We'll take something out of him early. We don't want him hanging around in here and fighting his pace these early rounds, okay? Feel good?
All right, the good fighters got to let more big shots go, particularly the right hand, okay? We kick to the jab. That is the nucleus, so everything works off of the jab. We don't get away from the jab, but let some right hands go, okay? So you get the right hand.
Starting to shoot the right hand, too. Yeah, well, start working that body a little bit more, especially on that left side. Got to move my right a little bit.
Okay? You see that man going either way. All right, everybody. That way, I always say we move.
Jimmy Paul using every second to sit on a stool before getting up as we start the second round of 10.
Kenny Weldon giving Todd Foster some sound advice, and on the other hand, Emanuel Stewart saying that the jab was the nucleus for Paul here, and he's got to start throwing some right hands. And you're bound to see some fireworks start going on here because they're being urged to cut loose a little bit now.
Foster was telling us he was fighting since the 3rd grade in Montana. He said that's what they do there. Imagine elementary school boxing clubs.
Well, I'll tell you, most kids that do start in the sport don't necessarily start in the 3rd grade, but it's like Little League. It's like baseball. You start when you're 8, 9, 10 years old, and by the time you're 19, 20, you should be a good pro by then.
Boxers trying to open up a little bit more after all those jabs in round 1. And Paul connecting with his jab more effectively here with the right hand off of it. Another right hand from Paul.
Well, those are the right hands that Emanuel Stewart wanted Paul to throw, and they'll start finding their mark if Foster doesn't move that head a little bit more.
Both men following their corner's advice. More wide open second round, midway through now. Combination from Paul. Sneaks the jab in again, Paul does. And 2 more times from Paul. His connect percentage is probably higher, even though he does throw fewer punches. And a good jab in return from Foster. And the left hook from Foster.
Foster's been throwing that left hook, but it's been bouncing off the glove of Jimmy Paul. He's really a good defensive fighter, and most of those punches have been deflected.
Be interested to see the CompuBox as far as percentages and who's landed what here in the final minute of the second round.
Well, as of the first round, both of them are very close in percentage. 39 for Foster, 32 for Paul. Percent landed.
Paul trying an uppercut for the first time this evening. Boy, they're really both of them measuring the other very effectively with the jab. They're both scoring. And a body punch finally from Foster to Paul.
Foster landing a few good hard punches there, and Paul trying to come back. Paul's bleeding from the mouth a little bit. He must have caught one of those jabs or right hands off the bottom lip, and he's bleeding pretty good already.
Low left hand straight from Foster.
That's right, but Steve Smoger, of course, was screened out. Ooh!
Good right hand.
Both of them landed good right hands.
Boy, if this continues to escalate as it has through the first 2, we could really have a brawl on our hands.
And it will. There's another low blow, and of course, now Smoger saw that one.
Now the warning from Smoger on the second low blow from Todd Foster.
Some fighters will wait until this referee screened out to throw that low punch, and they get away with it.
He's trying to butt you when you come in. You're trying to throw a left hook to the body. He's taking his head over every time. So if you're going to throw that left hook to the body, I don't want you to get off of it.
All right, here we go. Let's go back to a little replay here of that second round. There's that jab of Jimmy Paul's. See, he gets such great extension and snap on it. And that's what he's going to start doing, following up with that right hand off that jab. He start doubling up with it later on and trying to throw that right hand. There's that jab. It just stops Foster short. Doesn't look like it has much power on it, but believe me, at the end of that snap, there you go. Here's Foster backing away from a little left hook, and we should be seeing else. Well, that's about it. I thought they were going to show another right hand that Paul had landed later on in that round, but there will be a lot more to come.
Does that surprise you? Foster with the much higher connect percentage.
Well, no,
jabs through 2 rounds.
Jimmy Paul's a real methodical fighter, and that's really his style, and he waits to open you up and land a big one.
Let's see if they pick it up another notch here as we start the third round.
See, Kenny Weldon in the corner of Todd Foster is worried about Jimmy Paul really controlling this fight in the middle of the ring with this jab and keeping Todd Foster off balance all night. If he can do that, he's got a good chance of really piling up some points and winning this fight. Hey, Foster's got to assert himself just like that, but more often during the round.
I sense off that second round, Foster's a bit more confident as we start the third.
It's going to take a while for these guys to get warmed up and figure each other's style out.
Both landing. Go right to the body from Paul. Continue jabs.
Boy, Foster landed a good short right hand, and Paul's just narrowly missed. So
2-3 jabs in a row from Foster.
That's the great measuring stick for that good right hand. And if you can touch that jab, you could almost most certainly touch the right hand.
Foster with a right to really to the hip of Paul as he has strayed low towards the belt on at least 3 occasions now, midway through the third round. Rizzo, just a touch of blood on the lower lip of Jimmy Paul, boxer in the gold trunks.
Ooh,
Jim.
Boy, they just banged heads good, and Todd Foster got the worst of that. Right off his left eyebrow, but there's no cut there.
But he turned around and winced.
Well, that can bruise it and soften it up, and later on a good punch can open it up. right now, Todd Foster's hand speed seems to be really the thing that's kept him ahead in this fight so far, even though Jimmy Paul landed a nice left hand off the top of the right eye.
Oh, right hand from Paul.
Great right hand.
And Paul back with a left. Paul landing a couple of good ones here in the latter stages of the third round.
That little sneak right hand that Jimmy Paul has is really what took him to the world title back in the 80s.
Might have been enough for Paul to take the round with his late flurry. And we are joined tonight as our guest judge by Dave Bontempo, fine boxing writer for the Associated Press. Dave, how have you scored it through 3?
3 very close rounds, Lennon. Right now, a slight edge for Foster based on just a little bit more power so far in the fight. Paul has been methodical, but Foster's been able to get inside, a little bit more power, just a little bit more speed.
I would tend to agree with how he scored it. How about you, Joe, through 3?
Yeah, but I'll tell you the real thing right here is what's important is this headbutt.
Right
if this
on the left
continues
eye.
to happen, I mean, this could turn the tide in the favor of Jimmy Paul if he does cut Todd Foster, whether by butt or by a punch. But those type of headbutts can really soften up the tissue around the eyebrow there and bruise it and make it swell and more susceptible to a cut.
And that looks square right on the eye.
Oh, yeah.
Starting the 4th round now.
We've yet to see from Jimmy Paul really that him put that left hook. In fact, he's really been very shy with his punches right now, but he hasn't been using that left hook as much as I think he should be using it after he finishes throwing that right hand. He should drop that left hand to the body or head. In other words, he's got to get a little busier with both hands, Len.
Well, we've seen very little body punching.
Right on the chin, and Todd Foster's still a little wobbly right now. He knew he got up quickly, but he's still a little wobbly. His first instinct is going to fight back hard, but that's when he might be most susceptible. He should move and box a little bit and clear his head.
Surprising quick knockdown here in the 4th round. Jimmy Paul scoring it.
Looks like somebody might be cutting. That looks like Foster inside that right eye.
On the right side, there's some blood by his eye. Jimmy Paul coming on strong here in the 4th round.
And just hit Foster with a great body shot right up the middle. He's got Foster on the run right now. And Foster's punches really don't look that like they have much snap left on them.
And Foster bleeding now from the right eye. So left off the far head, strong right hand from Paul. Paul trying to measure him.
Oh, he just staggered Todd Foster with another sweet little short right hand. Well, this is the point here where Jimmy Paul should be putting on more pressure. He's got him hurt. You wonder if that 4-year layoff and being 32 years old has slowed him down a little bit, because he should be finishing a little bit stronger right now.
Foster undefeated, in deep trouble here in the 4th round. He's been knocked down once. Still a full 35 seconds remaining in the round.
That cut is really looking real nasty over the right eye, and it's actually in the eyelid, it looks like, which is even worse than being on the eyebrow. Oh, he just got clipped with a nice left hook from Jimmy Paul. Well, Todd Foster's smiling back at Jimmy Paul, but he really has nothing to smile about right now.
Yeah. All right, well, listen to me. You let him take control of it. You understand?
Yeah.
Now, that knockdown is heavy duty. Are you okay right now? You're not hurt or nothing?
I close tight.
Okay, hey.
Todd Foster trying to shake.
All right, here we go.
First time knocked down in his career as a pro.
Right, and here we go. That was a perfectly timed, right off the jab, that right hand off of Foster's chin. Of course, he got up quickly, and here we go, another overhead look. Jab stands him up. Right hand drops over the left hand of Todd Foster's, who was hanging a little bit too low. Here we go, last look. Bingo. Wow. Good right hand. See, that's right in the eyelid. You can see that cut, and they're going to use some adrenaline 1 to 1,000 solution on it to try to stop the bleeding. But
and that was not from the butt, Joe, because the butt was on the other eye.
Exactly. Exactly. That's in a very, very bad spot.
Fifth round, you saw Todd Foster immediately smile when he was knocked to the canvas, as if to say, I realize what happened. I'm not that seriously hurt. And he was back up quickly. But to reiterate, first time down as a pro here in his 23rd fight. And the blood is trickling again from the right eye of Todd Foster. Foster trying to step up the pace now after that knockdown here in the fifth.
Well, Jimmy Paul is so patient. He waits for you to throw that punch. He blocks it, and before you know what happens, he's got a punch coming right back at you. And you better have your hands in a good defensive position, or he's going to counterpunch in and hurt you like he did to Todd Foster in the last round.
They exchange right hands, but of course the jab from Paul could really do some damage on that bloodied left eye. Right eye of Foster. Strong left, and Jimmy Paul comes on again.
And Jimmy Paul, of course, landed another short chopping right hand. What he does, he almost lulls you to sleep. Sit there and you chase him for a while. You land a few punches, he blocks some, and then all of a sudden, bingo, out of nowhere, you get countered.
And that blood is bothering Foster. You saw him reach up and try to clear his right eye with his glove.
Plus, that cut's in a hard spot to get the cut medicine into because it's so close to the eye and it's in a very precarious situation. You really have to be very gentle when you put the cut solution in there, not to get it in the eye.
Final 30 seconds of the fifth round.
Come here. Very good.
Blood really streaming down on out of the right eye.
See, Todd Foster just did something that I was going to mention that he shouldn't start doing, is throwing that right hand after his jab to the rib cage of Jimmy Paul, because he leans back and leaves that exposed as he extends his own jab. So that's really one of the few openings Todd Foster has.
Get some ice on this cut. Get on that real quick and get some ice on it. That's okay. Cut's okay. It ain't nothing.
Close your eyes.
All right, now listen to me. Now you won the round. You went out there and you didn't try to get it all back at one time, but you won the round. Now I want you to start being more aggressive, but I want you getting that left hand up. Okay? Yeah. Now he's only won one.
And a look at Tyrone Frazier as he's getting ready for his light heavyweight fight coming up against Doug DeWitt. DeWitt himself coming back from a 22-month layoff. Frazier, a very talkative, active boxer, and we'll see if he can back it up with some punches here tonight.
Yeah, I mean, anybody who can be on the Howard Stern show for 1 week straight has got to be able to talk.
Get up, man. I'm right. That's a mouthpiece.
Drop him on over top. Jump over top, right on over top of him. Let's pick up the pace now.
Hands high.
A little bit more, okay?
Both corners urging their fighters to pick up the pace a little bit.
So as we start the second half of the fight, round 6 of a 10-rounder. We had one knockdown in the third. Foster down. A right hand from Jimmy Paul. And the eye, the right eye of Todd Foster will continue to be the focal point. it has been cut, and it's been a problem for him.
CompuBox has both these fighters throwing at least 400 punches each, or close to it, and both of them landing about 40% each. So, you know, it seems like Foster is the busier, but maybe he's just not connecting as much as Jimmy Paul is.
Paul with a good left hand again. He backs up Foster once again. That left got Foster's attention again. Puts another jab in there. Paul appears to have the more powerful punches, Joe.
Yeah, he seems a little bit strong. Of course, he's been fighting at 140 pounds, where Todd Foster's been fighting basically at 135. He's come up to meet Jimmy Paul in this fight at 139. So he's given away a little bit of normally what he wouldn't be doing, giving away about 4 pounds.
Every time Foster lands, he catches one right back. Paul, an outstanding counterpuncher. Midway through the 6th round.
That cut has really opened up again. It looks pretty nasty.
Step back.
It's such a hard place to control the bleeding.
Referee Steve Smoger separates them.
I really think Foster's going to have to do something a little bit more drastic than what he's doing to kind of get the attention of the judges here, because, you know, to tell you the truth, he's throwing a lot of punches, but they aren't getting through.
He caught a left hook right on that bloodied eye.
Oh.
And down for the 2nd time.
3, 4.
Boy, Todd Foster really looks through over there in that corner. He's hurt badly. That cut's bothering him. I wouldn't be surprised if Smoger stops this fight.
Well, he doesn't.
No. But if he takes another good shot like that, I guarantee he will. His legs look really unstable right now.
A good right hand from Paul. 10 seconds to go. You cannot be saved by the bell. And he's taking a lot of punishment here. Paul all over Foster. Steve Smoger looking, and that's the end of the round. And it will continue to a 7th.
Well, I'll tell you what, I'd be surprised if they let him out for the 7th.
Give us time. Give us a minute. Give us a minute. Come on, get your hands in your lap.
That was a tremendous amount of punches he just took there against the ropes here, and they were all solid, hard punches. Smoger was just about to stop it. I can't see him letting this fight go on one more round if he comes close to taking half of those punches.
Steve Smoger was standing there, eyeing him closely, just about to jump in, and he jumped in right at the bell and stopped it. But the doctors are looking at Todd Foster right now.
Are you sure? No. Huh? No. Damn it. Oh, yeah, I'm good. Come on, you're okay. I'm good. You're okay. Now, listen, hey, you got to get your hands up.
All right, here we go. Here's the knockdown. It's a sneak left hook. Bing, right over there. Dropped his right hand, Foster, and Jimmy Paul snuck that left hook right in there. Here we go. Here's the barrage of punches that was right in front of us. Right hand, left hook. Those were partially blocked. That right hand didn't help. Left hook, right hand, over and over again. Snuck in a few uppercuts. And Todd Foster took a beat in there.
And the fight continues. It was examined by Dr. Frank Doggett, and
Frank Doggett told Steve Smoger in the middle of the ring, aside from everybody, if he comes close to taking those punches, stop the fight.
And also Larry Hazard, boxing commissioner in New Jersey, called Smoger over and had a little chat.
Look, Foster quitting. He's quitting. That's it. Fight's over. You know, he did the right thing, though. It's not the prettiest thing, and it's not basically what the fans want to see, but his corner people should have stopped that fight. But you know what happened? They left it up to Todd Foster to be the smart one there and stop the fight.
So Todd Foster suffering the first loss of his career, and Jimmy Paul's comeback with Emmanuel Stewart giving him the kiss.
Emmanuel looks
looking
like a
lot better all the time.
I'll tell you.
Good fight, Jimmy. Good fight. Good fight.
Foster was down in the 3rd and then again in the 6th. Did not throw a punch in that 7th round after taking all of that damage at the end of the 6th, and eventually just waved it off and himself said no mas. And undoubtedly a crestfallen Todd Foster, tasting defeat for the first time in his pro boxing career. So the coming out party for the Great Falls, Montana resident was not a success, as Jimmy Paul runs his record to 31-4 and now 5-0 this year in his comeback. Well, they've now been able to stop the bleeding, but too late.
Ladies and gentlemen, referee Steve Smoger stops this bout at 27 seconds of the 7th round. The winner by TKO victory, the former lightweight champion of the world from the Motor City, Detroit, Michigan, Jimmy, the Ringmaster Paul.
Paul told us earlier in the day when we asked him who he would like next if he could get past Todd Foster. Paul said Julio Cesar Chavez. We'll see what he says when Joe Goosen gets to chat with him momentarily.
Todd Foster, he suffered a very severe laceration of the eye, was unable to continue. Let's give him a hand. Only
Foster continues to sit on his stool as he's attended to. And we're ready to go to Joe in the ring. Joe?
I'm here with Jimmy Paul. Let me ask you something. Did you surprise yourself in this fight after being off as long as you have been?
Like I say, when Manny called me in the gym that day, he knew it was something there. And all I need is for your trainer to tell you you got it. And like I said, he told me to push myself, and I picked the pace up and did what I got to do. But like, first of all, before I get started anymore, I like to thank God for giving me the opportunity, the strength, and through Emmanuel, give me another opportunity. When nobody believed in me, everybody said, Manny shouldn't have me to fight. I'm too old. Manny still believing in me. He came through for me. I appreciate it.
Well, do you think it was the fact that maybe this kid was less experienced than you, or the fact that he'll never be as experienced as he needs to be to fight you?
Well, I don't think he ever had the talent I have, but like I say, he's a good fighter, and I respect that in him. A few more things I like to say. Other than I thank God, I like to thank my mother and father, the Crunk boxing team back in Detroit, baby. I love you, and we'll be home.
All right, let me ask you something, Emmanuel, because earlier in the day we discussed what happens if Jimmy Paul wins this fight and where's he going to go from here, and you had mentioned Julio Cesar Chavez. What's the outlook on that now?
We'd like to have about 3 more fights right away, and then we'd like to fight Chavez either this fall or summer. I think Jimmy still is about 3 more fights from being where we want him to be at. But I thought he would win this fight tonight.
All right, listen, it was Jimmy, congratulations. It looks like you're back in the top 10 in the world again.
Oh, yeah.
And good luck to you in the future. All right. All right, back to you, Len.
All right, Joe, we talked at the top about how this was a night of comebacks, and the first one successful for Jimmy Paul. Out of boxing for 4 years now, his 5th fight of this year as he's trying to come back as well, and very successful. So the first of 3, of course, the third would be Larry Holmes, and that would be quite a story as we'll articulate a bit later on. But Jimmy Paul surprising Todd Foster here in the 7th round. Let's check out the man who's lost for the first time in his pro career. Todd Foster's with Joe right now.
Todd, listen, number one, I got to ask you, you stopped the fight yourself. And I got to address this to Kenny also. Were you thinking of stopping the fight in the round before?
Yeah, I was about to stop it, but I didn't know what I wanted to do is try to get him one more round in there, and if we could get him back to the corner and stop the bleeding on the cut, we would have been okay, I think. But it kept bleeding, and he couldn't see over in the corner, so he stopped it.
What was the reason you stopped at the point of when you did? What was it that made you stop?
I couldn't see well enough. I didn't want to get injured, and he's a good fighter. You know, I came out, had a pretty good rhythm, was beating his jab, I thought, but he did good. He's a good fighter.
Did you ever recover from that first right hand that you got knocked down with? Did you fully get your faculties back?
I think I got my faculties back, but I wasn't all the way back. You know, I felt good, but I wasn't quite there, and with my eye, I didn't want to take a chance.
All right, thanks for explaining things, Kenny. All right, good luck to you, and hope to see you again on TVKO. Thank you. All right, Len, back to you now.
All right, so Todd Foster, I think, explaining it quite maturely, didn't want to risk his own injury. His eye was severely cut right above the right eyelid, and he was having trouble seeing in the 7th round. Took all of that damage in the 6th. He was down twice in the fight, the right hand in the 3rd round, the left hand in the 6th round. And Todd Foster, who came in 22-0, goes home to Montana with a 22-1 record. So that's the story on our first fight of the evening with Jimmy Paul, the experience showing, the former lightweight champion, knocking out Todd Foster at TKO, 27 seconds of the 7th round. Jimmy Paul the winner. Let's go back to our host now, Cambrell Marshall.
Thank you very much, Len Berman, and reminder, the main event coming up Ray Mercer, merciless.